So I think I've put my nail on the head of what was bothering me about the Poem of Volund. So I'm going to go through that. And this pretty much comes down to the Jackson Crawford translation and what Crawford states in his foreword, which I think is a dangerous misconception. Now, so let's go with the defense of Volund versus Jackson Crawford. I'm going to work on a title like that for this video. So Crawford states in his foreword to the Poem of Volund that Volund rapes Bodvild as his final act before escaping. Now, Jackson Crawford is a respected expert in the field of translating Norse works, the Poetic Edda, the Havamal, the Volsung Saga, and that. And one of the things that he's respected for is being impartial and unbiased, which I'm just going to say this here. This is a biased statement in his foreword. Because it is never said, even in his own translation, that Volund actually rapes Bodvild. Don't get me wrong, I mean, it's plausible, particularly if you want to submit Volund to the stereotype of Nordic, Norse raiders, Vikings, etc., etc., etc. They get pissed off, they want their revenge, so killing, raping, pillaging, it's fair game. I mean, it's all part of Volund's revenge scheme. I mean, he kills her brothers, so rape Bodvild, plausible, except I'll get to that. Now, really, even after Volund escapes, Bodvild is in love with Volund. And obviously she couldn't resist his temptations, yet even not being able to resist his romantic acts, that doesn't confirm sexual activity or rape. And say it's implied, but it doesn't say it actually happens. If anything, Bodvild is at Volund's mercy. She gets drunk. He forces her to drink. He forces her to get drunk. Takes advantage of her. It's a case of she goes to him. They drink. She drinks too much. He doesn't. She is at his mercy. But we get a fade to black. We don't get a sort of Volund takes advantage of her, deflowers her, or whatever. So that's sort of one section. Let's talk about Volund. Now, we have to look at the rest of the story, and Volund loves his wife. And he shows a deeper thought regarding her leaving and the other Valkyries leaving compared to his brothers. They go off after their wives, whereas Volund is like, maybe she'll come back. I'll wait for her to come back. I love my wife. This is the ring, blah, 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 etc., etc. I will wait for her to return. I want her to return. And also, it's laid out there in the rest of the poem that he is a master craftsman. Knows how to express his skill, his art, and it tells us that he is patient and applies great detail in his works. So he has the eye for detail, and maybe is not an irrational man, but a deep thinker, and not given over to the more base instincts that we might associate with, I don't know, other men. Obviously, he shows Bodvild hospitality, and as I've said just now, he has her at his mercy. But instead of going for the base accusation of rape, how about this? The easy thing to do, the expected thing to do, would be to rape her. I mean, obviously there's a few little complications to that, is because she's not there against her will. It's only once he escapes it becomes an argument for rape, because he has used her. If they have had sexual activity, we don't know they have sexual activity. But Volund is cunning, and he's going for as much damage as he can cause to Nidud and his wife. He's killed their sons, and it's just that sort of, that's fair, perhaps, but, or yet still, what if he implies he's had sexual relations with Bodvild, but hasn't actually? Bodvild can't clarify for or against, depending on her experiences and how she recovers from her getting drunk and being at Volund's mercy. But what does this do to Nidud, his wife, even Bodvild, as they are left in the aftermath of Volund escaping? I mean, obviously, the closing part of the story is Nidud and his daughter talking about what has happened. And I think in this act of revenge, does Volund have the capacity to betray his wife as well? He wants to get back to her, and having sexual relations with Bodvild isn't a way of expressing his love for his wife. He's planned his escape, he's planned his revenge. This is all meticulously done through the course of this story. So therefore, it doesn't really, I don't think, fit with his character that he would degrade his ultimate goal to degrade Bodvild. More that it's he's made her fall in love with him. He's certainly suggested that it has been some reciprocation of that affection to entice her to think that a relationship can be had. But now, sort of sexual activity or rape, I'm not convinced. So really, that brings me around to, there is no solid statement within the story that confirms Volund as a rapist, and therefore, Mr. Crawford, Dr. Crawford, I believe you misjudge Volund. You have put some bias on this story, in your own words, without anything to back that up. So in conclusion, thinking about the Poem of Volund, I mean, it's very much a story of morals, and in its telling, we can see more in the people who hear it, who listen to it, are told the story. And that's probably more important than the story itself. Because obviously you can gauge your audience by the way the story is reacted to. For instance, if, I don't know, you tell the Poem of Volund to a rowdy crowd of guys and they go, yeah, she got what she deserved, and blah, yeah, Volund extracted his revenge, he did the right thing, then you're able to gauge the company in which you are in and can act accordingly. Whereas obviously you tell the story and it's Volund is a monster, blah blah blah, that poor girl, etc etc etc, again you can gauge what company you are in. And I think perhaps that's the real lesson in the story. It's, do you get caught up in the easy wins and the telling of the story, or do you gauge from the start to the finish what has occurred, what we've learned about the characters in the story, and then how we discuss the aftermath of the story. But ultimately, I think it's wrong, it's a mistake to claim that Volund is a rapist. Cheers. Thank you.